Hello and welcome to Eledor Plays EU5 or Europa Universalis 5. We're at year 1441. This is a new game to the last one I played. I'm a little bit more experienced and I know a bit more about what I'm doing now. And as you may see, if you're watching anything about this game, 100 Years of War is over. And if you have a look, that's red, that's red, that's red, that's red. Also that's red. And there's a free burgundy in the middle for some reason. Also, I have a union with the Kingdom of France. So I managed to win the 100-Year War by 1441. I also have Scotland under control. I have all of Ireland under control. Ireland just needs to next that one, and then we've got all that done. Wales, I'm just waiting for them to... Have we got rid of one? Did I show you have two left? Yeah. Waiting for them to finish off the last two of their vassals. Scotland has just eaten up the... No, they're in the process of eating up. No? Yes, they got rid of the Isles. I also have a Walden Orkney, which is a vassal under Scotland, because I captured it from Norway. I've left the Faroe Islands. Fairly populated. Shetland, and that's a location where they do the show Shetland. When you actually think about it, it's one of the most remote locations on the actual British Isle. And then you got Orkney, which I can't say. I'm a bit hay fever at the moment, so excuse my voice, it's a little bit clogged. I also made Cornwall independent because I was hoping it would grow its population a bit better. However, I think it's actually eating its Cornish population. Although it's increased. Yeah, I've actually been very particular about making sure I don't have any particular territories outside of areas I want. So we've got Jersey as an independent territory. So anyway, I've won the 100-Year War, which is the main conflict at the start of the game for England. I also have conquered all of the British Isles. Everything is mine now. If you want to get a clearer look, we'll go to Points View and see all that. So Ross is a dependency of Scotland. Same for the Orkney Isles. Pale has Clanwilliam, and Wales has two vassals in the name Ias and Glamorgan. I also have vassals of Brittany, Normandy, St. Pol. Could have made it Picardy, but I decided to go St. Pol. And Aquitaine, they're my direct vassals, and Nevers and Tonnerre. Through my union with France, I have 17 other vassals. They're currently at war with Castille and Aragon, and Bohemia. I may or may not be getting myself involved in that soon. How's the London market going? So, London market is... What's the biggest market? Praha's largest. I've actually been Paris. There you go. Done well. I've been... I feel like a lot of my provinces are very... Is it raw goods? Production. That's what I wanted. Goods. So I haven't done a lot of my wheat, but I've been building up my my wool. One of the recommended playthroughs for England is to dominate the wool market. I did a count, and I think just in England alone, you have more wool the entirety of the French region. The French region. My main goal at the moment is now to sort of... I've basically... I feel like I've almost won the game at this point. I've got France. basically that means I'm basically unbeaten on the territorial level. Like if you just take into account France's population and the vassals around it, all of them, a lot of little ones, but it's okay. Flanders, I think North Holland. Yep. I even helped the Netherlands come into existence. Yeah, you take into account all of the different vassals that France has. It's the biggest power on the continent. Full stop. Some of these other ones are getting up there. Hungary's definitely being a bit of a monster. Serbia's being a bit of a monster. Ottomans have stalled. Well, no, they're growing. I think there's still a little rump state of the Byzantines left. If anyone's played this game, the Byzantines started in a much stronger position. They actually have basically all this territory all the way along here. There's a couple of bits broken up here. But for the most part, they are actually they're in a more powerful position than you would think. Muscovy's basically not going anywhere. I think Novgorod is dominating at the moment. And Kiev. Even though Muscovy's got that union with oh, look at a few units. Okay, so they might actually be coming back soon. Don't have a lot of troops. Well, we add up all the different Union Knights. There's 3 Union members there. Then you got there. It's kind of interesting. Denmark is basically dominating its section. I've helped Netherlands come into existence. I may eat them later. Who knows? Aragon still exists. Portugal is gone. Portugal was my ally, but because of the mechanics of the 100-Year War, which are very frustrating, they kept stopped being my ally. I actually think the mechanics for the 100-Year War needed rework because it's really frustrating. I don't think the French should be able to go, oh no, I'm very important. You should stop being their allies. And Spain's like, I'm the same size as you. Why do I care what you think? That sort of thing. But no, that doesn't happen. Instead, you have France going, hey, you shouldn't be enemies of me while Britain's attacking me. And Spain's like, yeah, okay, even though I've been allies with England for 50 years at this point, and we're married together, and we've been fighting alongside each other for a long time. Break it. Like, that's part of why I made these little vassals. Like Jersey, Man, and had these different ones all on top, instead of just making one big vassal. Because the way France is just randomly picking your different allies and vassals to pull them out of the war on you. And so by having a lot of little ones, it distracted the AI enough that I was able to keep fighting even with that. Despite that, after the first initial victories over France, I never really had a hard time with them. You just got to win the first 2 fights, two wars with them. And then after that, you're pretty much smooth sailing. Just make sure you've got a strong ally base. Keep strengthening your vassals on the land, and you'll get them. Plus, Paris isn't actually that far away, so as long as you can hit these sort of places here, one of the mechanics in this game is once you've hit a certain point in the war, like I think 60 months for a length of war, your war exhaustion starts jumping quick, and I had to really rush down France to be able to finish that war and actually capture him. The alternative was I just take a lot of territory off him again, which I wasn't really keen on because I was just like, nah, let's just get it done. I was that close to having it done, and I didn't actually want to do that. I didn't want to win the 100-Year War, but I did. So anyway, what have I learned about the mechanics? We're at a later point in the game. Where are my soldiers? This is my professional army. One thing I recommend, every time you have an army disembarking or anything like that, or you merge armies together, hit this button. This button should be something you should be able to automate. I don't know if you can. No, as far as I can tell, without making them have full control over your armies. There is actually an option to have full control of your armies. Huh. So, basically for the first age, which is Age of Traditions, you do not have a standing army. You are stuck. If you try to have a standing army, it won't happen. You have 5 manpower, is eaten up by just an army of 200. So when I say 5 manpower, I mean this particular number here. So you're only producing 5 manpower. An army of 2 men-at-arms. Oh, the previous ones, which were whatever they were, would use up 2 manpower each. Usually you start with a default army of about 200. Basically, you'd have no manpower for the age of that. You basically have to rely on your levies. So I figured out how the levies work, based off control and 2%, essentially. So there you go, there's the figure. So it's based off your control. So for example, in Middlesex, London, I should have full population coming available. So you get 2% plus your modifications. So what there, I've got 65% extra. So I get 1200 instead of 600. No. There you go, 2046. Yeah. I wish some of these tooltips were a bit better organized, because this one feels like this modified number should be down here. And there's tooltips and tooltips. Like sometimes I'm just like, why do we have so many tooltips? Plated knights are your nobles. So nobles have a different rate of production. So they have 10%. France has a weirdly huge number of... Where's Paris? Yeah, Paris. That's a good example. Oh, well, nice. Look at the amount they got. So they get an extra 100% for their male knights. Britain makes up for it with the longbowmen, which are their peasants. They have features which men-at-arms have. Not as quick as men-at-arms. Don't have that improved speed. Well, actually, let me check. They might be for an upgrade. No, improved speed. They do have improved initiative. So they have a really good initiative compared to same as a crossbowman, I think. Crossbowmen are better. Yeah. So your standard levies, jumping all over the place here, but trying to go to the military a little bit. It's your peasant levy. That's your standard levy most other countries would have. And we do get them as well. I haven't got to the peasant levy yet. But basically your labourers do not turn into longbowmen. Longbowmen are only your peasants. So a good idea is to have high control and high population with England, particularly, and maybe Wales if you want to play Wales. Have a high population of peasants, so you can get your longbowmen, and maybe not focus so much on labourers and stuff like that, because then you get the less good peasant levy. Also, men-at-arms. As far as I can tell, they're basically just an inferior version of longbow again. If you look at the stats, 1, 2. So the most important stats here are this is your combat power and your combat speed. So this is how quickly your unit can move. You also have your frontage, which is this one. So it takes up 1 space. And your initiative. Initiative means it gets to attack first. Flanks, blah, blah, blah. The longbowmen, they have all of that, plus high initiative, plus this really nifty feature of minus 10 damage taken. So, it might be a good idea in the early game to try and maximize your peasants as much as possible, particularly in your high control regions, like obviously Middlesex. So control is your level of control over that region, and basically affects things like tax. So if you have 100% control in it, you get 100% of the manpower, 100% of your tax that you're expected to get, that sort of stuff. If you're at 72%, you're also only getting 72% of what you would expect. Despite that, Norfolk is amazing. This is it's one of the most heavily populated regions. It is the most heavily populated region in Britain. Pull out a little bit. There you go. So 222,000. Which is actually lower than what it starts with. I think at the start of the game it starts at 250. I still have not got back up to 3.5 million. That's the population you basically start with at the start of the game. France has definitely jumped, but it's because it's eaten a lot of its provinces to catch up. So once Wales takes these vassals out, and I'll be integrating Wales then. That'll be interesting once we do that. Now, you also have maritime control. This also helps with maritime presence. Sorry, this also helps with increasing your control, especially with coastal regions, which Britain has a lot of. So, for example, I have 99.77 maritime control here, which basically means I go to Colchester and go proximity of Colchester. So to get from Colchester to London, this is how the control sort of mechanic is sort of done. It's based partly off the proximity of Colchester. So instead of taking a road from Colchester to London, which I do have in place, I think. No, I don't. Not a direct road anyway. I'll probably do one. I've got so much money at the moment. Don't know what to do with half it. We'll do that, and we'll do one here as well. But roads are a bit, until you get the later and more advanced roads, maritime control is the best way to do it. So we're going back here. So London has 100% proximity, so it's the capital. Colchester, which is, if it was to go by road, it would have to travel from London, Barking, Prittlewell, and then Colchester. And that would all take away from it. So instead what you have is from London to the Thames to Colchester. And if you go to look at the Thames to Colchester, so one of the main holdbacks for Colchester is its harbour capacity. So if it had better harbour capacity, it'd actually probably be a lot better. That's why I think this one here, yeah, look at it. It's further, well, it's not further away, it's actually in the same region. Same region, better, slightly better harbour capacity. And you've got Ipswich as well. Yeah. This one's irrelevant though, because it's right next to it. Although, look at that. Thames is still probably quicker than going from road to Rochester. Do I have direct road? Roads are important. Look at France. It's basically almost all red. I haven't been doing roads as much just because I've been focusing more on the maritime presence and using that to increase. So, for example, if we go to 3D map, I guess, so you can see the roads here. So, for example, I've got Boston here going to Lincoln, and I didn't bother having a road going from Boston down to London. Because it was actually quicker to go from the sea zones to there rather than go from straight down in a road. You can still do that. Look at that snakiness. That's how many provinces it has to get through to get to London. And that'll be the most direct route. So yeah, if you want to increase your control, that increases the amount of troops you get from the provinces. Places like Bohemia have it rather easy, partly because they're just... Let's have a look here. We've got Prague. Not sure how you would say it. I'll say Prague. That's how it says there. Oh yeah, poor Austria. Oh, wait, are they not there? Oh, is Austria dead? Uh-oh. Oh, there it is. Poor Austria. It's a rump state. What is this? Look at that. Where is it? I'm trying to find Vienna. Might be wins? No. It's wise. No, I've lost it. Okay, that should be it there. Yeah, there's Vienna. It's been eaten by Hungary. So, I feel like you have to... In Bavaria, once it's actually grown pretty large. Well, Lower Bavaria looks like it's bigger than Bavaria. Upper Bavaria. I feel like one of the things you need to do with Bavaria is to get those two to merge together, otherwise you got another rival. But one of the things you do for Bohemia is make sure they don't. And if you're Austria, I don't know what you do there. Maybe trying to ally Bohemia. Or Hungary, or something like that. Anyway. So go back to the control thing. Pick out your most heavily populated provinces. I'm not sure there's an easy way to do that, to be honest. Like, this is a problem to me. If you want to pick out your biggest populations. London's got the highest peasant population, but Middlesex is... There's other... It's very... I'll just stop what these cabinet members are doing. Anyway, we'll switch them to doing to a smaller region then. So you can get this. This is a table of all your most populated provinces. But you don't... I just don't know where you can find one in-game which, other than through here. This is just a conversion thing. Let's hit Gwinnett. Alright. So if I was to go convert province, Norfolk has done. Useful. So it doesn't even show me that. Like you go ledgers, population. Again, it's just showing you by. Wish there was a way to, so you could shrink it down so it's showing it by Middlesex. Or you know, by the province side. So it's like, why have the province? Why have the actual province if you can't actually search by the province for stuff? It's very frustrating to me. Oh, music. Actually, let's have a look here. What's this? No, this is a province view. See, it does stuff like that, but yeah, there's things like that. Like they need to have a population of province view, because that if you know your if you know you've got a high population province and it's low control, you know you need to get that control up. So, for example, in Norfolk, what I'll do is, I think that's already jumping anyway. No, it's maxed. So, you get your cabinet member, go increase province control. Another view. There you go. Middlesex is catching up. It also produces the most tax. Easily. That's because of London itself. Don't need to increase control there. Yeah, this is... I guess this is the way to do it. You can go province control. I just wish there was a different screen, so you could actually just look at it without having to go through 3 different buttons to get there. Like add a tab in the ledger. Score is weird to me. Like France is still beating me, even though it's my vassal. Where am I on this list? Duchy of Upper Bavaria is bigger than me. Got really high administrative. I've got good diplomatic. I think I'm probably one of the better diplomatics. Yeah. Third highest diplomatic. Military is terrible. For some reason. This one's 47. It's my standing army. It's holding me back. There you go. That's the professional troops, professional cavalry, professional artillery, and professional auxiliary. Okay, so I probably should increase the size of my army. From what I've got here, I should be able to have an army of 18,000. Not that many ships, apparently. I've already pretty much almost hit my cap. When it comes to ships, war galleys and carracks are about equal in terms of... Okay. So at the start, you only start with galleys and cogs. I've got hogs and Mediterranean galleys now, which are more advanced versions. So the Mediterranean galley, this is what you use for helping to increase your, initially, to help increase your maritime presence, because it gives you 0.12 for every galley. So if you go here, see that we've got the 5th Navy here. So it's giving us a sort of a boost to our maritime presence. But that's the default. So Mediterranean galley is 12, and the carrack is also 12. So they're great initially, and the carrack is what you really want in your heavy fleet. You want them hunting down other people. They're also good for blockading, sort of. Yeah, carrack's much better at blockading, but if you want good blockading and good maritime presence, it's the bark, which is your... If you played EU4, that's your light ship. That's your trading ship. Hulks, your transports. They basically don't do a lot. They're great for transporting people, but presence-wise, they're not really doing a lot. 10 of them is... What's the number? Three hulks to match one galley. And they use the same amount of sailors And base maintenance wise, they're roughly the same. So basically, once you get barks, especially if you're Britain, probably start replacing your galleys with them. Galleys are better in combat, but that's where you get your carracks. You have your carracks for the combat stuff. Like a carrack is twice as expensive as a galley, but going off its hull and its guns, it is more than twice as effective as a galley in combat. I think it has disadvantages in certain... I don't know if they've still done that. Ah, okay. So you've got the frontage issue. So galleys, you can have a bigger fleet of galleys. So for every carrack, you can have 3 galleys fighting it. Which... the carrack has more cannons still. Substantially. The Mediterranean galleys have more hull. So it'll be a race to see who knocks down who. And the galleys are faster, so they make up for its speed. Yeah. Interesting facts. But yeah, if you're playing this game, worry about your control. Don't worry about your far-flung, low population provinces. Like, don't worry about the centre of, if you're playing Britain, don't worry about the centre here. What you need to worry about is Norfolk, Suffolk, Essex, Kent, and I think Suffolk. That's Suffolk. So Norfolk, Suffolk, Essex, Kent, Sussex, and then Middlesex. Those are your most important provinces to worry about at the start. The rest can sort of... you can worry about them later, but they'll give you the most troops and most money. Particularly Walden, because that's your saffron province. That gives you a lot of money just by having saffron. So look at the others, which I haven't really produced. Even Colchester, as a full-grown city, isn't producing anywhere near the same amount of money as Walden. My recommendation is try and max out Walden as soon as you can. It's just a money producer. So the other ones, horses, fiber crops, sturdy grains, more important for food. They're not actually worth that much. I think there's marble down here. Again, not worth that much. And we've got some silver, which, because of the stannery buildings, they're not much. Yeah, actually, let's check what the... yeah, look at that. London and Walden. They're my two valuable provinces. So when you can, get roads built to Walden to increase your control over it, so you get all that money coming in. So it's just a nice boost. Don't forget to keep your other cities up and running. Lynn and Norwich at the start are your 2 biggest cities. They are usually pushing over 60,000 people. So they're usually a good source of wealth as well. But if you can max out Walden, look at the money it produces on its own. One other thing, if you're making a lot of RGOs, so goods production, have a look down here. This is a good way to figure out what you should probably build to try and save yourself some money. So at the moment, as you can see, I'm running short on lumber. So what I want to do is then max out my lumber provinces. I already have. Unfortunately, you don't have much lumber as Britain. But if you can get that down to... there's one which... I don't think there's any others which use tools only. Maybe here. No, they're just space cost. So once you max those out, you got to start using lumber mills in your main cities or provinces, which you can have them, like Harrow. Lumber mills are not as efficient in no shape or form, so max out your lumber provinces first as soon as you can. It'll save you, if you can get that down to, if you can get this value, build here? Yeah. If If you can get that value down to 33%, which is the maximum reduction you can get, you're saving yourself 17 ducats for every construction. So that'll save you a lot of money in the long run. At this point, I don't need it. I have so much money, it's kind of scary. I don't know what to do with it at the moment. After fighting France, I just stopped paying attention to the money. I'm just focused on winning the wars. So I just stopped building. So basically, all that goes on pause while I'm doing that. And money builds up. And for some reason, my money went crazy. Where is it all coming from anyway? Oh. Aquitaine, Normandy, Scotland, Brittany, Wales, Paul Wales in the Pale. Just never been there. They can't seem to produce any money really. I think let's have a look at the control in Wales. It's just not great, and Ireland is terrible too. The other issue with these places, Ireland does have a lot of population now. So we've got about 1.144 million in Ireland. Plus 65,000 there. So Irish are definitely starting to take off, but poor old Wales sits around 320,000. Doesn't have a lot. Oop. Oop. That's a epilepsy warning there. My apologies. So yeah, to put it simply, if you're playing England and you're fighting France, win your first 2 wars. Use your troops strategically. I found that the best way with the AI in the current version is let them take these 2 provinces, let them go attack Aquitaine for a bit. Have Portugal as an ally, so get them as soon as you can. Aragon, if you can, it's not necessary. You can get away with just Portugal. So most of the troops will head down here and start annoying Aquitaine. What you do then is you start with these 2 provinces, just to be clear, as Britain. Grab that one. And grab that one, because they're one province counties at the start. Just grab those 2. Eventually, the French will come up and start attacking them. They won't be able to attack Portugal because they can't go through Scotland, and Bordeaux should be able to hold the line for the longest period, hopefully. So basically, once they capture these places, wait a little bit, then move your armies down and clear them. And then basically what you have to do is try and pick off small armies before they can bunch up into a big one. The AI is not very good at bunching up into a big army straight away, so you just got to sort of watch it and just move in and be predatory when you need to. And you can do it. Because you do start with 50,000 troops as England. And if you use them well, you can do a good job. But yeah, take these 2 provinces. Basically what it does is it draws the French back up. They try and take these provinces. They might go with little armies or 10,000, 20,000 type strong armies, which you can take as with your 50,000 armies. Or your 50,000 army, I should say. And you just wipe them out. Eventually you'll get enough score that you should be able to probably grab a bit of land up here. I used to try and grab the rest of Honfleur, just so you get Calais and Walden still in there. I'm not sure. Don't quote me on my pronunciations. I'm terrible. I am aware. If you can, try and expand Aquitaine a little bit as you can, just to create more areas for them to have to get down. After the first war, get Aragon on side. Nevers if you can. If you can't, go for Castille. Castille is actually probably a much better option than Nevers. So what usually happens is, in this current version of the game, you have Aragon and Castille that will rival Nevers, which is the country in this region here. Once they rival Nevers, you rival Nevers. And then you try and make friends with Castille and Aragon. If you can do that, you're basically good. Castille will bring in armies of near size equivalents to France's, which basically means you can then be a lot more choosy with where you put your troops. I never fight in Aquitaine. I just have a fear of Brittany or Normandy or even Flanders just wiping out my transport fleet carrying my troops over. Is that you can stack wipe. You can lose your entire troops in that process. So this... Oh, that's my main army. Main navy. So this sort of fleet here... actually, this one, just be an example. So if it's just transports or fishing boats, which is your levy you can produce... if they're transporting, they are basically easy targets. So if galleys can hit them, they can take them out very, very quickly, and you would lose all your troops, or whatever their troops would be carrying. Because 2,500 weight, 10,000 strong army is about 14,000 weight. So you can lose a lot of troops pretty quickly. I've seen a whole... I've been very frustrated and seen whole navies of like 40 ships just gone from one quick battle. And it didn't take very long. It was just like bang, bang, gone. I couldn't get galleys in there to help him or anything like that. There was no fight. The pace was just done. Very, very frustrating. I don't know if that's something they're going to fix, because it doesn't make sense to me. I feel like the ships should still be able to try and defend themselves, even if they're overladen with troops. But that's neither here nor there. But yeah. This is my most successful game to date. I don't know what I'm going to be doing for the next 400 years. Apparently, I've also started colonising... I've colonised the Azores, because Portugal died and couldn't. I think I'm colonising Madeira. And I might be colonising the Canary Islands soon. And then, eventually, I might even go for the... whatever these ones are. Cape Verde? Yeah, Cape Verde. I'm also starting to see a bit of Africa now too, which is cool. Not a lot you can actually colonize up here though. You've just got these little regions here. Not a lot of valuable stuff either. It's just some sand, fish. I think there's a bit of copper somewhere. Oh yeah, a little bit of copper there. And that's it. All the other stuff's just sand and already taken over by the Mali Empire. So you got these passages which are basically just where you can walk your troops through. I haven't really explored or done much in that region yet. As you can see, I'm basically just at the start of the Age of Exploration, Age of Discovery. So yeah, I almost feel like I've won the game. It's sort of like, what's the point of me playing at this point? I already have France. I've got the biggest land power on the European continent already under my sway. All I need to do is annex these vassals and then give them back to France. Can I do that? How do you annex them? Well, that's my next thing to figure out. So anyway, thank you for watching. I think I'm getting better at this game. I think I'm getting better at explaining it. And again, just to be clear again, do not worry about low control in low population provinces. Only worry about maybe your top 3 or 4 provinces to start with. They'll get you the most troops. I think North Riding is one of the bigger ones too. Not really. Lincolnshire, Norfolk. Lincolnshire is a bit harder to control. It's just a little bit further away. But if you can get a little bit of extra control into Lincolnshire, it can boost you as well. It's usually the second most populated province. But these 4 here, if you can get them up, they have the highest tax base at start, and they will boost your economy quite a bit and give you extra troops. So there is all that. But anyway, slightly better explanation of how the game works, maybe, and just showing where I'm up to in the game. I definitely quit. I quit the last one. I decided I wasn't enjoying that particular playthrough, so I decided to redo it, as I seem to have a want to. I've tried to basically make it so England, or the British Isles, remains the British Isles. and I'm going to try and make it so France stays France. I just don't like the Portugal which comes with. I don't want to. I'd like to keep France's dominion or union for as long as possible. We'll see how that goes. Still? I don't know. Okay, yeah, this is stuff I gotta learn. Yeah. Thank you for watching. If you want to leave a like or subscribe, I'd really, really appreciate it. I will be splitting off to make... Not splitting off. I will be making 2 new channels soon. One where I'll be going... One will be more about tutorials for video games. Me trying to explain concepts and going through that. Rather than trying to do that on a gaming channel. So I have a more of an informational game channel. And I'll also be doing another one, which will be a bit more history and things I like to talk about focused. We will not be going into politics, especially current day politics. I feel like I'll keep that stuff away with a 10-foot pole from D&D as much as possible. But it'll be more about, I think, might be doing a little bit of naval history, and might jump around a bit of military here and there, and maybe I'm going a bit of history of different places like British Empire and things like that as much as I can. I'm not an expert. I'm not someone who would call themselves a historian, but I have a very, very big interest in it. I've been watching channels like Drakenafel and tons of others like that, which are Ocean Liner Designs as well. It's another great one. That's Australian too. All those sort of ones, and I've just been thinking, I love ships. I've been reading about ships since I was a kid. Why don't I talk about them a bit more? I can't go on ships though, I get seasick. But anyway, beyond that, keep doing what you're doing, look after yourselves, look after your pets, love your family, and cheerio.